are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop post-game review. I'm Dylan Larck at YouBulletTank on Twitter, and we are here to recap Auburn's 45-13 win over the FCS Samford Bulldogs, FCS powerhouse, by the way, yesterday. And Auburn is officially 3-0. As I say every week, Auburn is on pace for that 15-0 record. But I am here joined today by Mr. Harrison Tarr, Daniel Locke, and Colin Beyersdorf. Tarr, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, man, never better. Great weekend of football. I watched from 12 p.m. Eastern until 1:45 a.m. Eastern yesterday, and man, it was actually a good slate after all. We thought it was going to be bad, and then it wound up being some really fun games. I mean, Kansas, Missouri, and then you got to sit down and kind of relax and watch Auburn, Samford, which we're here to discuss pretty much in depth. And then rounded out the night with Colorado getting scared, man. I mean, they almost got upset on the national stage by Colorado State, but that wound up being a pretty dang fun game. So I've got no complaints, brother, and great slate of NFL games today.
Yeah, and the USF Bama game was also a very good game to watch as well. Not the ending we wanted, but I'm not mad about how the game ended because Bama looks a little rough offensively. But Daniel, how you doing, buddy? I see you're wearing your Cam Newton New England Patriots get up.
Absolutely. I haven't had a chance to get my hands on one of the throwbacks yet that they're rocking tonight, bringing back Pat the Patriot on the helmet. Very excited to see that. No more of the abysmal one shell rule in the NFL. But as Dylan said, tonight we're trying to go 2-0, and then tomorrow night we'll try to go 3-0 on the weekend for my teams. But yeah, just really looking forward to talking some football here right now.
Well, Colin won't have that luxury of watching all of his teams go undefeated this weekend because Colin is a Broncos fan. But Colin, how you doing this weekend?
I'm doing good. You know, just got my heart ripped out a little bit with that Hail Mary ending the Broncos game. But we're good now. We're going to talk some Auburn ball and have some fun.
And I think it would behoove us to start off with Payton Thorne's game that he had yesterday. Throwing for 282 yards, had a touchdown, 2 very poor interceptions. We'll get to that later. But also led Auburn in rushing yards with 123 yards on the ground and threw up 2 touchdowns as well for himself. I mean, we're going into week 4 of the season, and Payton Thorne is Auburn's leading rusher with, I believe it's 140 total yards. I mean,
whoever wants to open this one up, I won't jump in first, but there's going to be points, especially since I got to switch mics real quick.
I mean, I just never expected to see him run the ball the way he did. I don't think any Auburn fan saw him as being our running threat at quarterback. But obviously he kind of tore it up this weekend.
Yeah, he was great on the ground.
Go ahead, Daniel. Sorry.
All good. He was great on the ground, which was good to see. It's been a while since Auburn just hasn't been one-dimensional as hell. So it's really good to see that, everyone can do a little bit of everything. Like we were kind of talking about before we got live here, he needs to learn to slide, which is a lesson that every running quarterback has to learn sooner or later. Joe Burrow didn't learn until he got to the NFL. But if he would figure that out, that'd be good, or that's going to result in some fumbles and hopefully not some injuries.
Yeah, I would say Sean White actually never learned while he was at Auburn how to slide. He went knees first and then face into the dirt every time he tried to slide.
You're right. First off, also, guys, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me pretty clearly. My internet's going in and out. Okay, great. Thank you so much. I was kind of worried for a second there that my internet was doing something wacky. We're talking about Payton Thorne right here on the College Loop post-game live stream, or I guess reflection live stream, if you will. I thought that all things considered, I know, Dylan, in a minute you're going to talk about this was that Payton Thorne played a great half of football. I thought Payton Thorne played a pretty great game of football. Let's go ahead and address the elephants in the room and talk about the 2 interceptions, just super quickly. And I know you guys are gonna be a little more critical than I am because I'm a little more lenient on that regard. I'll be completely transparent with you guys. I thought the first half play calling was pretty atrocious. I thought the second half looked much better. And to Hugh Freeze and their staff's credit, every game there's been a more definitive, defined, fine-tuned adjustment period in the second half where you've seen that there have been team needs addressed in the second half of ball games. So I'm going to take that for what it's worth. That's something Auburn fans should be pretty happy about because that's not something you've seen really in an extensive period of time. But if you look at Payton Thorne objectively, and you threw out a stat line earlier, Dylan, I thought this was the game where he walked into Jordan-Hare Stadium and in front of a homecoming crowd showed everyone that I am the QB1 for this team for a lot of reasons. Threw the ball extremely well. I understand the pick thrown in double coverage downfield was inexcusable. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not overly concerned about it for the fact that I almost guarantee you that he was sat down. He'll be sat down this week and said, "Hey, this isn't going to work in the SEC because that's going to be a huge turnover and costly. Possessions are so valuable in the SEC." And then you look at that goal line stand where he winds up throwing an interception, and I mean the play calling was bad. I'm not saying it's all his fault, but there is an element of it's 3rd and goal. And we've not ran the ball once from the 1 yard line. If you're for Payton Thorne, right, and you're looking and you're like, man, I got to force something. I got to make a play. And there is an element of like you got to cut some slack, but you've also got to be critical, right? You find that balance, and that's not a mistake that you can make in the Southeastern Conference. It is one you can make against Samford. You don't want to make it against Samford, but it's one you can afford, especially when we talk about this defense here later. And I'll be honest with you, see my sneak peek. I'm impressed right now. That all things considered, guys. Payton Thorne balled out. I mean, he played the brand of football that all of us were sitting here saying, is Payton Thorne still capable of playing? He looked like 2021 Payton Thorne. He did. And that's the guy that Auburn fans were hoping that he could be. I am 100% sold on the fact that this is the guy until proven otherwise, and knock on wood, hopefully no injuries. Barring an injury, he will be the guy for coming down the stretch. Now, I know that there's other conversations surrounding the role of Robbie Ashford now. I'm going to open that up here in a minute. But I want to ask Colin real quick, and open up to the rest of you guys, but I do want to kind of put the ball on the tee for Colin. The downfield pass was neat, and you mentioned this pre-show before we were recording. How impressed were you with Payton Thorne's ability to go through his reads in large and actually move the ball effectively using this receiving core that we're going to talk about in a second?
I just honestly didn't see it coming. I was thoroughly impressed. His balls looked nice. His balls look nice. He had a tight spiral. He's throwing it down the field, and he's getting it to wide open receivers. He had the one into double coverage that was pretty atrocious. It was an awful read. He had the receiver in the flat for the first down. But
I feel like now is a good time to point out that the average age of people on this podcast is like 22 years old.
Yeah, that's a good point, Daniel. Thank you.
It wouldn't matter. You could have said that on the War Report, and Mike would have been laughing their ass off too. All right?
I'm sure.
Yeah,
you're right though. I mean, pretty spirals. I get it.
Yeah. And like you said, he went through his reads for the most part pretty well, and he would find the open receiver. And listen, he was uncorking some big throws, and that's something we've not seen at all this season from both quarterbacks.
And you wound up getting some from both. So that's kind of a nice sidebar. For those of you guys,
I need to get this out there because I've gotten a lot of flack this week from the keyboard warriors who refuse to go actually watch the show and get the context to the actual quote graphics. I have been saying for weeks now that I want Payton Thorne to prove to me that I should back off on my Robbie Ashford love. That's what I've been saying all season long. And people kind of took it out of context and said that I'm an Ashford truther. I think Ashford can get there. That's what I've been preaching. Payton Thorne proved to me in that 2.5 halves of football that he had, where he played really, really well. And played really, really good in those 2.5 quarters of football. Payton Thorne came out and proved that he can calm down the pocket. He can look calm and collected in the pocket. That he can. Sorry, there's a motorcycle outside. Proved to me that he can get the ball into receivers' hands, and those 2 interceptions were stupid. Both of just when you're outside of the pocket running, don't try to force it into the end zone like that. SEC ball, that's an interception on the goal line. 9 times out of 10 in the SEC, that's an interception on the goal line, and it was 1 out of 1 against Samford. And that other, you got to look at your flats. You can't force balls downfield. But Payton Thorne proved to me in the second half that he is the starting quarterback for this team. I'm going to get it out there, quote graphic out there, just so people who don't want to watch the stuff for context. I think Payton Thorne is the starting quarterback. But to preview to the next segment, Robbie Ashford does deserve to be utilized in this offense.
Yeah, and we're going to touch base on that here in a second. But Daniel, I've got a question for you as well. If you're open to this one, tell me if this is a dumb question. I'm kind of in this camp, and by kind of, and also Dylan, if you'll do me a favor and throw up the comment from Todd Jordan. Todd, thank you for joining the show. Teresa, welcome back. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here.
Meet, Teresa. Meet.
That's right. Mentioning Thorne looked better than he has all season. If he doesn't throw 2 INTs, you'll take that performance every week. I agree. Daniel, I'm in this camp that one, I'm glad Hugh Freeze left Thorne in and didn't start playing the quarterback carousel thing. You gave Thorne an opportunity to make some mistakes and figure himself out. Is that not the right way to handle this at this point, staring down the barrel of an SEC schedule?
It's 100% the right way to do it. I mean, this was your last tune-up game until, the week before the Iron Bowl. And it's just unfair to have expected Thorne to have gone in and just played perfect football yesterday after he hasn't had the opportunity yet to just get in and just do his thing. So I was really glad that Hugh Freeze and Philip Montgomery decided to not get involved, just let it play out. Like, interceptions happen. They suck. They're infuriating. They're annoying. Whatever, negative word you want to insert there, like, go for it. And I get it. But they're part of the game. They're going to happen. Yeah, those 2 were pretty bad. But I'm kind of with you, like you said earlier. Like, you're not quite as harsh on those. As someone who played defensive back myself for a lot of years, I forced a lot of interceptions, so I know how quarterbacks feel. So I get it, and they're drive killers, especially when I would get one. But yeah, so I don't really think it's the end of the world.
I'm with you, Daniel. And we're going to segue into Robbie Ashford here in just a moment. Those of you guys who are just now joining the stream, we're talking about Payton Thorne and his success, and I will call it success, folks. I think y'all would agree with me. Against Samford on Saturday. Please give us your thoughts. We'd be happy to discuss those. And as always, questions you guys have, drop those in the chat. We'll address those at the bottom of our show, and we won't skim on time. We will take all the time you guys want. All the questions you guys ask, we will answer. Thank you guys. We appreciate the support. I want to talk about Robbie Ashford's role now. And we've discussed, and I'm not saying we've beaten the dead horse about Payton Thorne, because I don't think we have. I mean, there's certainly a lot of layers to that, and I'm certainly happy for the kid. You get, from a personal level, you got to be happy for him. Having that one of those moments of, okay, everybody's behind me. Robbie Ashford does, Dylan, you're right, does still deserve a role on this team. And I'll open it with you, Dylan, and I'm going to let everybody talk except for me. And I'll save myself at the end. Or if somebody else wants to go last, I don't care. About what Robbie's role looks like, I think there is a clear definition now. And that's huge going into that SEC slate. But I think that we have a good idea of what Robbie Ashford's role should look like. Dylan, what should it be?
Yeah, so we watched Robbie Ashford. Robbie Ashford did not come into the game in the entire first half. But when he did come in, he was an immediate game changer. We saw I think when it comes to Auburn being 1st and 5 to the end zone, 1st and goal on the 5-yard line and to the goal line, Robbie Ashford should be implemented there. That's where I saw Payton Thorne struggle the most against Samford. I think Robbie Ashford adds another dimension. Payton Thorne is mobile. Very shocked to see how mobile he was. Because I didn't, and apparently it's because Michigan State just didn't know how to utilize him, both with injuries and just the coaching staff in general. Payton Thorne's got wheels, but Robbie Ashford, he went on that field yesterday, and I could feel a universal teardrop from every single Robbie Ashford doubter in the Auburn fan base, because I saw Robbie Ashford go out there, throw the ball accurately, getting the ball to his receivers, and I saw him panic once, and he got the ball out of bounds. He saw he wasn't gonna force it. He wasn't gonna run out of bounds and lose yards. He chunked the ball out of bounds like he should do. And then he had that beautiful 32-yard bomb to Micah Riley, the tight end who just got his first career touchdown. By that, another guy I'm very high on, by the way. So great touchdown for me. But Robbie Ashford going into SC play, they now know Payton Thorne can run, and now they know Robbie Ashford can pass. And if I'm an SEC defensive coordinator, I'm going to be kind of worried about what you're going to see down the stretch from this Auburn Tigers offense. If they're throwing Robbie Ashford on the 30-yard line for a play, is he going to pass it? Because now he can throw a 30-yard pass. We just saw that happen. And Payton Thorne, if he throws a read option, I mean, it's no longer going to be he's going to pass it or he's going to hand it off. Payton Thorne is going to make a couple of miss. There's a picture I just put on the thumbnail of him juking out one of the Samford defenders, which was hilarious to watch in real time. But overall, I mean, Robbie Ashford has proved that maybe he's not quarterback one, but he is definitely, if you instead of 14, he's the athlete you didn't assign a position to, because that's what he's going to be utilized. He's going to be your backup quarterback, who's basically like your wildcat guy. He's going to play a Kerryon Johnson role per se, with more read option and RPOs. He's not playing wide receiver. That's not happening. Robbie Ashford's not going to line up at wide receiver, and if it happens, it's going to be a trick play. He's not switching positions. Robbie Ashford proved that he is worthy of the quarterback position, and that he is worthy of playing a vital piece into this offensive scheme behind Payton Thorne at quarterback.
I like that take. And I'm going to roll over to Daniel here and kind of ask him pretty much a very similar question. If you could throw up Todd Jordan's comment. Todd, thank you for dropping that in. I agree with this. At the very least, and he means the very least, Robbie makes defensive scheme for 2 quarterbacks. Daniel, we just heard Dylan touch on this about how Robbie Ashford makes other defensive coordinators respect his throwing game. Now, it's still, is it or is it not still just red zone Robbie? And you're looking at him in those I guess blank and goal situations where he can mix in his legs and also check down passes, RPO, things of that nature. What does that look like for you, Daniel?
Yeah, I kind of just predominantly use him in the red zone, in the and goal situations. I personally, I'm not going to throw Robbie out there at midfield. I'm not going to say that I don't see the value in doing so, because this team. You've got Thorne, you've got Robbie on the ground, you've got Robbie through the air. That's 3 separate playbooks. So that's effectively 3 schemes that, the opposing defense has to plan for. And I'm not going to say I don't see the value in that. But ultimately, I feel like between the 20s, or not between the 20s, all the way from the half-yard line on your own end zone to the 10-yard line on the other team's side of the field, I feel like that's Payton's territory, man.
I don't disagree. And Colin, I'm going to kind of build off that. And Todd, we see your question. I promise we're going to come back to that. We will talk about Holden Geriner at some point on the show today. I can guarantee that. But we saw, as Dylan mentioned a minute ago, Colin, where Payton Thorne was left in those what we're discussing right now to be Robbie Ashford situations in the first half. In my opinion, there's a tremendous amount of value in doing so against an opponent like Samford. But how much does it play to Robbie's benefit that now there's tape of Payton Thorne handling that in that quote unquote red zone Robbie situation in terms of making other people scheme for it could be either guy?
I mean, obviously, if they're going to have scheme for either guy, then their scheme is not going to be as great if they spent the whole week working on just one dude. I think what Robbie showed is that he can play a very important role in this team. And even if that's just a super confident backup, let's say that Payton takes a huge hit at midfield and just has to come out for a series of plays, you can throw Robbie in and you will not be worried about what he's going to do. He can throw the ball. He can run the ball. He can run the offense when he needs to.
Agree. And let me just be the one to say right here, fellas, this is my piece. And you guys have summed up the Robbie Ashford role to a T. I'm not going to expand on it anymore. I am over the moon proud of Hugh Freeze and his staff for the way that they handled personnel in the first half of this game and the entirety of this game for to be completely transparent. But specifically in the first half, I do think, as Colin and I were just kind of talking about, there's a tremendous amount of value in giving Payton Thorne red zone reps. I mean, hell, who's to say Robbie Ashford doesn't get hit on an RPO on the 5-yard line, right? I mean, you want to make sure that you're prepped for every situation, and also mixing up schemes like Colin was just mentioning, just showing different packages. That's a big deal, and there's a ton of value there. Let's open this up beyond the quarterback conversation. For those of you guys who are just now joining us here on the College Loop Game Reaction show, live show. Make sure you drop in the comments your questions, concerns, strongly held beliefs, demands, whether that be about Robbie Ashford, Payton Thorne, or beyond. I promise you, if it's relevant to what we're talking to, it's just a statement, we'll throw it up. If it's a question, I promise we saw it. We will address it. It is built into our show rundown, so make sure you guys drop those comments there. We certainly appreciate your love and support. And if you're not already subbed to us, make sure you sub. Let's talk, guys. Let's talk offensive takeaways, and we're going to go in reverse order here. I'm going to let Colin kind of pick off the plate first. While we talk about the wide receivers, and then Daniel, I'm going to let you talk about the running backs. We'll let Dylan figure out the rest and chime in there. Colin, we talked about it earlier. The downfield pass is back, my friend. Auburn is throwing the ball downfield. It is doing the passing thing, which is wild for some people to wrap their brains around. How much did this receiving group impress you on Saturday? The answer should be a decent amount. I'm just curious, your thoughts, your takeaways. Who really stood out to you? There's a couple obvious answers.
Yeah, a ton is the answer. They impressed me a ton. I went into this game not uncertain about our receivers. I knew we had some talent there, but I think now, from my time in school here, this is the best overall receiving core, top to bottom, that I've seen. Rivaldo Fairweather is that dude.
Oh my gosh!
Holy crap! The way he can adjust to a ball and just go up and get it is crazy to me. Because we've seen it in multiple games now where there'll be a ball that is slightly underthrown, and he can just completely adjust and, despite whatever coverage is being played on him, get that in his grasp. It's crazy to see for me. And then, obviously, Shane Hooks, big receiver, can go up and get it as well. And Jay Fair has busted on the scene as a freshman and is really showing his value that he adds to this team.
How about Jay Fair? I mean, Rivaldo Fairweather's a talking point. I know Dylan's going to go there.
Oh, yeah.
How about Jay Fair, folks? I mean, this kid's more physical than I thought he was going to be at a very, very early age in his Auburn career. That kid is special. And in this group, I think, Colin, I think you're absolutely right. In your time at Auburn, this is the most talented receiving core you've ever seen. And Daniel, the future is even brighter for folks that are juniors and going to be seniors next year. But I was thoroughly impressed. A lot of people talking about Jay Fair's ability to go get possession receiving, right? Dude runs a great route. I mean, you go back and watch film, he runs a great route in my opinion. I mean, and then there's a ton of value there, and there's clearly a connection between him and Payton Thorne. This group is gelling on a level that I was not necessarily expecting to this point this year. I had hopes, but we weren't quite there. Now, Dylan, you want to chime in real quick on the Rivaldo Fairweather supremacy?
Yeah, I just want to point out that Teresa, by the way, just to answer your question real quick. Yes, Jay Fair did redshirt last year. Rivaldo Fairweather, his ability, like Mike Colin said, to adjust is awesome, and it does seem like I don't know. I think Hugh Freeze watches the show because I told him I told the world that this offense is going to run a whole lot better if Rivaldo Fairweather gets the ball in his hands at least once per drive, and that seemed to happen a lot. But when people talk about with his ability to catch the ball, you also got to mention his ability to block.
Yes.
I think from head to toe, Rivaldo Fairweather might be the most talented tight end that I have ever seen in my cognitive memory as an Auburn Tiger. And I'll even go deeper to say this wide receiver room is probably the best wide receiver room I have seen in my entire time, again, cognitive memory, because I was too young for, Devin Aroma-Shadu and Ben Amamano and who's the one guy I'm missing? And Courtney Taylor. There we go. I was too young for those three. But I was able to watch Jarvin Adams, who I think is one of the best receivers Auburn's ever had. I watched Emory Blake and Terrell Zachary and Cody Burns all come through. And Todd Jordan, I love Leslie Kirkin. I love Leslie Kirkin more than you'll ever know. I cried I cried my tear ducts out whenever I found out what happened to Philip Leslie Kirkin. I'm tearing up now thinking about it. Rivaldo Fairweather has the opportunity to be the best tight end Auburn's ever seen. And his ability to do both things. If Auburn wants to run the ball, Rivaldo Fairweather is going to be one of the lead blockers. If Auburn wants to pass the ball, Rivaldo Fairweather is the premier target. I think Rivaldo Fairweather might see himself in the conversation of one of the top tight ends in this upcoming draft.
Yeah, he's a dog. Certainly adds a ton of value, and he's only getting mixed in, just continually playing a bigger role week to week. Something that Hugh Freeze and his staff certainly very excited about. Another room that we've been super high on, I've been publicly very, very high on. You guys are well aware. Here are my exact notes. You guys can see it. I sent it to you before the show started. Running back room, Daniel, and in parentheses, all I could put was WTF ? That had to have been the most disappointed part of this game.
Yeah, but I feel like that was a little bit by design almost. I feel like everyone knew that Auburn was going to be focused on throwing the football. So I have a feeling that, at some point during the week, Hugh Freeze, Cadillac, and Philip Montgomery sat down and were like, okay, it's time to throw the football. So I feel like Cadillac had running backs ready to go in the, blocking sets. And,
Sure.
Still a decent day on the ground, I would say. Didn't they get over 200 yards I know that's everyone, and 100 of that's Thorne, but still.
129 of that's Thorne.
100, yeah, it was 120.
Yeah, okay, it's not so great. But, it's not a big deal. At this point, I know what the running backs can do. Everyone knows what the running backs can do. So they don't really have anything to prove to me right now. Auburn had to get the pass game going. So I feel like Jarquez, Damari, Brian, Jeremiah, Sean, Luke Rebels, my Birmingham guy on the bench. I feel like everyone knew that. So I'm not concerned. They'll be okay.
It was more a little clickbait to get you a talking piece in there. I'm with you. Dylan, I'd like to point this out before you say something here. And I'm not saying you're about to back talk. I'm just saying you asked for a 100-yard rusher. You got one.
I did. It was not the jersey I was expecting to see get it. But I mean, if you're talking about the running backs, Justin Jones, the walk-on, almost got a blocked punt. So that was awesome to see. But it was a bit even if it's by design. I don't think Jarquez Hunter should ever get the ball 11 times and only get 37 yards. That's not the Jarquez Hunter we've been hearing about. That's not the Jarquez Hunter we've seen. If Jarquez Hunter is getting 11 carries in a game, he should be upwards of 75 plus. And
yeah, having to play behind this Patriots offensive line is a sin. Sorry.
And it seemed that the offensive line has improved a lot pass block wise from last year, which is again very hard not to do. Is the offensive line struggling from not being able to get a push? I see the size difference between the offensive line and the defensive line between Auburn and Samford. And 4th and 1, 4th and goals. Why is Auburn not running the ball in those situations? Giving it to Jarquez Hunter, giving it to Damari Alston, giving it to Brian Battie around the edge, giving it to Jeremiah Cobb, who is now one game away from playing out of his red shirt, by the way.
That's gone by. I don't want that.
It's gone. Red shirt's burned by Saturday.
There's a red T-shirt in his closet. I want it gone that bad. Like I don't no. I want that guy. That guy needs to be on the football field. That dude plays football. I mean that's what he does. Like
if I just want to go yards by carry, Payton Thorne led the team at 11.2. Then Robbie Ashford at 8.5, and then you get Brian Battie at 4.2. You get Jarquez Hunter at 3.4. Damari Alston by 3.1. And Jeremiah Cobb had 0.8, but that's also because I feel like he was utilized more in the passing game with the little pass jet sweep thing. You just toss it up to the running back in front of you. And he excelled in that. And I still think Jeremiah Cobb is going to be very good around the edge as well, just like Brian Battie. And this running back group is slowly going to find his pace, I hope. But I would really like him to find it out within a couple-day span before, Saturday.
Dylan, I just highlighted a comment from Todd Jordan again. But wasn't this game a bit of an anomaly? Auburn purposely pushed the pass. Absolutely correct. This is super important to keep in mind. We talked about the offensive line generating holes. I actually think that there's a lot of I could come up with some conspiracies with really no traction behind it. But an educated guess I have is that this entire week there might have been a banner and hanging in the weight room saying push the pass. Like that could have been the case. And that was evident, and that's okay. Auburn needed to do that. Auburn absolutely needed to go out and say, hey, the Auburn Tigers are no longer stuck in the we can only run the football stone age. They are now a true spread RPO offense. Like we can do that thing. And that's good. That's great. I am in the camp that you would have liked to see a little more progression from the likes of Jarquez Hunter. But then again, we're going to talk about injuries in a little bit, and I'm not putting him on the injured list. I'm just saying I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know that anybody really.
I think they say he just tweaked his ankle. I don't think it's like very major. They just made sure to get him on the field and not let him play.
Yeah, and then there's no point in putting people in harm's way if you're already thumping your opponent. Teresa mentioned Auburn will be more balanced starting Saturday. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And you'll probably see a little more running than you see passing again, and that's okay. But you had to get that experience in. And I don't love the goal line play calling that we were talking about.
Yeah,
but if there was a game that you can argue and say you got to get your reps in on goal line passing, and you pretend that all three of those are third down must pass situations because you can't push the run, whatever. If you want to look at it as a glorified scrimmage, I'm not necessarily not okay with that.
I'm going to say this real quick. Talking about how next week we're going to see probably more running than we are passing. I don't think that's true at all. I think Auburn's going to be back into this kind of swing of things. Because when I watched A&M film, and I strictly the Miami game, Tyler Van Dyke went out there in that empty stadium and threw for 370 yards and had 5 touchdowns through the air against that A&M defense. This was a game that needed to happen. This was a practice to make sure that Auburn knew what to do and how to attack zone, how to attack the man, how to find your check downs, which maybe Payton Thorne needs a little bit of. There's like a day lesson on that for that triple coverage deep ball. A&M struggles against the pass. This game right here proved that Payton Thorne can pass the ball, which is why I've already established again that he's a starting quarterback. He's a QB1, and he will be until, knock on wood, injuries or anything else happen.
Right.
Pretty God it doesn't. Payton Thorne's going to throw the ball a lot.
That being said, Auburn will still commit to the run game, and Auburn should still commit to the run game.
Yes. Oh, very much so, yes.
That is the whole point of an RPO. Todd Jordan mentioned again, at least Auburn showed that they don't have to run into a 9 or 10-man box. Yes, absolutely. That's tremendously valuable. Make people scheme against you. That's why I don't necessarily hate that early game play calling. Like when I said it wasn't great, if you look at it as glorified scrimmage, then it's fine. You know what I mean? It's almost like an NFL preseason game, right? There's no rhyme or reason except for establishing that you can do things. And if you want to look at it that way and the way Auburn thumped Samford, I'm okay looking at it that way. And you look at those mistakes and you can fix them and move forward. Teresa mentioned A&M not good against pass, like you just said, Dylan, and also adding the balance will keep the defense honest. Absolutely, super, super important there. Speaking of defenses, let's flip over here and we'll talk about the defense. Before we do so, if you guys are so inclined and you are feeling a little bit loopy, there is somewhere that you can go and show your college loop, War Report Podcast Network pride. That is www.thewarreport.com. Dylan, if you throw it on the screen, there it is. And you pick up your very own Feeling Loopy t-shirt. Comes in 5 colorways, only $25. Most comfortable shirt you'll ever own. We certainly appreciate it. It's a big way to support us, and you guys are the best. Show everyone your Feeling Loopy pride. Take a picture of your new Feeling Loopy t-shirt. Use hashtag Feeling Loopy and tweet at us. We'll put you up on the next live stream of the show. Not live stream, next show. Excuse me. We can do live stream though. I don't really care.
I mean, whatever one. If we can do it live.
That's right. What's up, Dylan? Oh, Daniel. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm Daniel. That's Dylan. I just wanted to say that I will personally be sending one to New England Patriots offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien, since he is clearly feeling something on the sideline.
That's actually really good. Anyways. All right. Bringing it back to Auburn football. Let's talk about the defense, folks. Daniel, we're going to open it up with you. Defensive takeaways. What impressed you? We'll flip it and go the inverse direction here. What didn't impress you about this defense? What still needs work?
Pass rush. That was bad. Run defense left a lot to be desired. So defensive line and linebackers, y'all need to work. But as a former DB, as I've said, I love this core. They've already have more interceptions in 3 games than they did all of last season. Jalen Simpson is the first Auburn Tiger to have an interception in 3 straight games in 16 seasons.
Is that good?
That's amazing.
Okay.
On pace for 15 this year.
Yeah. You're absolutely right, Todd Jordan. We desperately need Donovan Kaufman and Keontae Scott back for A&M, and hopefully we'll get that. But this room's deep. You've got Sylvester Smith back there, man. Like, you have a lot of reserves in this room. Kyan Lee took some more snaps this week, and I firmly believe that he'll be playing on Sundays. And, like I've said, I'm going to keep saying it. If there's anyone who knows what a defensive back who will be playing on Sundays one day looks like, it's me. So I'm a firm believer that this room's in good hands.
Yeah. Dylan, real quick. Sorry to cut you off. Can you throw up that comment from Todd Jordan saying you need Donovan Kaufman and Keontae Scott back for A&M? And it's ATM, and I know it's A&M, but I think this is very funny, and I'm not picking on you, Todd, because this could be an ATM game for a certain head coach, not named Hugh Freeze.
They're waiting to put the date on that check. I'm telling you, they've been waiting for a year at least. I think the App State game definitely that check was like, all right, give us a reason to sign it.
That's right. Yeah, that's I just thought that was really funny, and that's really the entire reason. Dylan, I know you wanted to expand on the defensive conversation.
Some of the defensive line. I know I got some against some keyboard warriors who decided not to like my my Jason Jones take about how I wanted to see him get to the passer more. And yeah, I get he's a nose tackle. He's supposed to plug holes. But Jason Jones I've been hearing all spring and fall long that Jason Jones is a next level defensive tackle and is going to get to the quarterback a lot per Jason Jones. I did see him get pressure on the quarterback. I did see him do what nose tackles do and plug holes, and he was getting back there a good bit. But the rest of the defensive line was not. We got a good Lawrence Johnson sack. We got a Cam Riley sack. And no one else. That was it. 2 sacks against Samford. We didn't hear anything from Keldrick Falk, not anything from Mosiah, not anything from Elijah McAllister.
Did you already say something about my boy Marcus Harris?
And Marcus Harris, did he get a sack? I don't think he got a sack.
He got a TFL. He didn't get a sack, but he got a TFL. Marcus Harris played good football.
Yeah, well, I'm not talking about Marcus Harris. I'm talking about the other.
Okay.
Marcus Harris.
Listen,
When I talk bad about the front seven, Marcus Harris and Eugene Asante are pushed aside.
I wanted to make sure that he had immunity.
Yes, he is. And also, I will also add another guy who was on my good side, Larry Nixon III. They are learning how to use him properly. He is going up the middle every time to plug gaps. But this defense did leave a lot to be desired when it comes on in terms of stopping chunk plays. That swing pass that Samford kept doing, I don't think Auburn really found a way to stop that. I talk about how we've talked about on countless occasions how Hugh Freeze has changed this team and how we're seeing mid-game or even mid-series adjustments made that we've not seen since early stages of Gus Malzahn. I did not see a single adjustment made for that swing pass. I didn't see linebackers out front. I didn't see anybody watching the running back. The DBs were all man coverage, which I do love. Their man. That's all of their strengths. Nothing except that swing pass. They were getting chunk plays when they shouldn't. They were moving the ball when they shouldn't. Auburn did step up and stop them at times, but this is Samford. I respect Samford. Great team, great FCS team. I don't understand why they're not in FBS yet. Texas A&M, Georgia, LSU are Auburn's next 3 opponents. That swing pass, if they establish it and they keep doing it, can Auburn find the adjustments to stop it? And I don't know yet. Because I didn't hear a lot of it from Eugene Asante this game. He got 1 tackle.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely correct. Colin, I'm going to let you kind of round out this defensive takeaways. If you have anything that these guys haven't covered, and then we're going to talk injuries for a second. Excuse me. We're going to talk about breakout players for just a second. Floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, these guys touched on our defense pretty well. Obviously, we got to stop those chunk plays. With big, talented teams that we're about to be playing, the danger is only more prevalent. So stopping those chunk plays, and Marcus Harris is a dog. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolute dog. Yeah, that's why I wanted to make sure he had immunity. A minute ago.
Because I heard that too, and I was like, "Oh, what are we talking about, man?"
Yeah, I was getting a little worried. I was like,
we're missing like the best player on this front seven." But yeah,
I like Teresa's comment here. Maybe they didn't want to show they could stop it before the A&M game, knowing we were going to win the game. I like that outlook. That's one of the outlooks of all time. I'm not dogging on you. That's funny. I like that. All right, Colin, opening up with you here. Who in the world of Colin Beyersdorf, in the brilliant football mind, certified ball knower Colin Beyersdorf, in your mind, did you look at this game and say, wow, kind of didn't see this guy having a good moment or a good play? There's a handful of answers here. That's why I kind of put the ball in the tee and gave you the first dibs.
So this one is incredibly obvious, and I'm sorry, but Rivaldo Fairweather was my biggest takeaway from this game. I just loved everything I saw from him. Like Dylan mentioned the blocking earlier. He could block. He was throwing up hard blocks too. He wasn't just blocking because he had to. He was doing it and he meant it. He was catching downfield. He had some short passes and showed some route running abilities. So all around, I think he's going to be the star of this offense this year for the Tigers, and I'm not sure we saw that coming into the season.
Fairweather could lead this team in receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, and pancakes if he tried hard enough.
That's not crazy.
If he could find a way to try any harder.
That's right. I'm going to throw a guy out there who, stat line's not absolutely crazy, but I saw flashes of what we think this guy can be in the future. Let's talk about Keldrick Falk for a second here, guys. I thought that there were some moments where, first off, you got to hear Keldrick Falk's name on TV, which was cool. and you're like, wow, this guy really is what we thought it could be. 1 solo tackle, 2 assists, 3 totals, no TFLs. I thought there was, if you go back and watch game film, in terms of him, Daniel talked about quarterback pressuring, and I get all that. That's got to improve. I thought Keldrick Falk had a good game. I didn't think anything spectacular to necessarily write home about, but you're like, hey, this guy's present. He's developing week to week, and his footwork's better week to week. That is a fact. I mean, week to week, his footwork is inherently better. I know it's kind of like an under the radar decision there, but I was impressed by Keldrick Falk, and I'm kind of laser focused whenever he's on the field because the DBs I don't actually have to watch the back end that often.
How do your eyes manage to look at both Kayin Lee and Keldrick Falk at the same time?
Listen, I have 2 eyes. And I've developed a lazy eye because I separate them.
You like a chameleon?
That's right.
I would say it is about time that Auburn finds a player who can set the edge.
Yes.
Waiting for Jalen McLeod, Elijah McAllister. Who's I'm missing one. Keldrick Falk, and there's one more. Who's the other edge rusher? Oh my lord.
You good, bro?
I don't know. Probably not if I can't think of his name. But yeah, I'm waiting for Elijah McAllister and Jalen McLeod to finally step up and set the edge. Like we've heard how many things that we heard positive about this edge rushing core from the spring and the fall. Elijah McAllister did so well leadership wise that he got himself a team captain role. But as much as I love Elijah McAllister, I love his game, I love his mindset, I love his abilities, I love the fact that he's getting his doctorate in education. There's nothing I don't love about Elijah McAllister.
Right.
But I do need to see more from him. I do need to see him getting back to the quarterback. And I understand he's probably just the placeholder for Jalen McLeod to get healthy because Jalen McLeod is known for his ability to have big games in big stages against big teams. And last year when he was at App State, he did that against Texas A&M, the same offensive line that he'll be playing next week. And that's goes back to the injuries thing, got to get healthy. But we do need to establish the fact that that Marcus Harris can't do it all.
Right.
That Jason Jones can only do so much plugging gaps wise. Who's going to get around the edge? Who's going to get around the tackle? Who's going to start getting sacks? Because Auburn is not getting sacks in that front 4.
Right. And there's layers to that, right? Like so many layers to the reasoning behind all that. But and this is a good time to mention Todd Jordan's comment again, if you want to throw that up on the screen. Without the punt muff, Auburn holds them to 7 points. Perfectly fine with the defense that holds opponents under 20 points. It's pretty based. I'm all on board. You should be. That should work pretty well. Daniel, I'm going to give you your breakout player so you can snag one from Dylan. And go ahead and grab your guy that really impressed you. If you've already been taken off the board, that's fine. But curious to get your thoughts on that front.
I'm looking for Keldrick Falk. Rivals had him as a 5-star, 247, and everyone else had him as a very high 4. So he's shown he has a lot of talent. And there's not really a ton of competition for him. So I really expect him to step into that role.
I thought he showed sign of promise on Saturday as well.
I did too.
That pairs nicely. Daniel and I agreeing with something. Man, that makes the heart happy. Dylan, round this one out for us before I hand it over to Colin for the injuries.
There's an easy breakout player here. And
I left it on the table for you.
Yeah, and I stood there and so I brought Lauren to her second ever Auburn football game, and she loved it. She loved the night game.
You're welcome.
Atmosphere, thank you.
For the record, they were my tickets, just for those of you guys who were curious.
I am trying to convert her from that team over in Athens to Auburn. She loves Toomer. She loves everything about Auburn. She just needs to stop wearing that red color and stop supporting ugly-looking dogs. So around the first half, I didn't see my player that I'm going to pick at all. And then it came in during the second half, and he played outstanding when he got in. My breakup player is Robbie Ashford.
Yeah, we knew.
All I've been hearing all offseason long, every time I bring up how much I love Robbie Ashford's game, I hear, well, he can't throw the football. He can't do this. He can't do that. Robbie Ashford's not a good quarterback. He should just switch to wide receiver. He should just switch to another position. Robbie Ashford came out into the field, 3 for 4, threw a touchdown pass, a 32-yard bomb again. Can't mention that enough. And he also showed off his ability that he is still a capable runner, which we all knew anyways. Robbie Ashford is my breakout player because he went out on that field and proved to everybody he can throw the ball. And everyone should shut up when it comes to dissing Robbie Ashford.
Yeah, I'm just going to go.
And I'm pointing
not going to happen.
hashtag air raid Robbie.
Yeah, okay. I'm just going to tell you, keep your thick skin because people aren't going to always jump on board. That's how the world works, not just the Auburn fan base. The layup that I was leaving for Dylan, folks, that I'll go ahead and touch. I thought we were all leaving this one. It's freaking Payton Thorne. He was the guy of the. That was the Payton Thorne game. I mean, that was until further notice. That was the Payton Thorne game. But I digress. Colin, I've left you with such a shitty task, and I'm very sorry. Also, Todd Jordan said, Dylan, if you can get her to stop wearing red, can you work on Mike G next?
What's going on, Mike G?
Anyways, Colin, I'm gonna let you.
Todd, can you tell me what do I need to work on with Mike G?
I like this banter. This is good. Colin, I'm gonna let you kind of break down injuries and where Auburn is there, if you're so inclined. And I'm sure Dylan will chime in whenever you mispronounce a vowel or something. So good luck.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing I'm concerned going into Texas A&M is just the health of this team. We kind of have gotten banged up the last couple weeks against inferior opponents, which you kind of hate to see. But yeah, like it is part of the game. But Donovan Kaufman, Keontae Scott, Nehemiah Pritchett, all from that secondary. Nehemiah Pritchett's yet to start a game, so hopefully, fingers crossed, Texas A&M is the time. And then we've talked about Jarquez Hunter not looking 100%. Obviously, he is our workhorse back, quote unquote, RB1, I guess. You need him. I'm trying to think of anyone else. Too Tall Miller, who else went out the game? Yes, Jalen McLeod. I think Javarius Johnson missed a couple snaps. I think he came back in the game, but was just somewhat banged up.
Do we got to count Austin Keys as well?
Yeah, Keys is still in that department.
Larry Nixon.
You think?
Did Larry get hurt?
He got banged up against Cal, but he played against Samford. I was kind of
an underlying storyline there. Sorry, guys. That was Miss Abigail Lafamina not remembering that we had a live stream this evening. That's okay. Yeah, Teresa mentioned that Mike G always wears a red shirt when he's doing the War Report. Who would wear red on camera?
Todd. He keeps wearing crimson on TWR shows. He even got 5 super chats as a GoFundMe to get some orange and blue shirts.
That's really, really funny.
I've never noticed that. I need to go back and watch it.
I definitely had. That's why I was kind of lost when you didn't pick up on it, but that's okay. Well,
I'm just not typically looking at the shirts. I'm just kind of.
I'm also more of a Spotify guy, so I'm
that's how I am too. I like to listen while I drive.
Also, I would also like immunity for wearing a red shirt. The Falcons pulled off an awesome comeback earlier today, and I was pretty happy about it. Okay, Daniel.
Yeah.
Your turn to talk here on the college loop. You're welcome.
Oh, good. Can it be about Bill O'Brien? No, I'm just playing.
Anywho, punt return group was abysmal on Saturday. Let's just be transparent here. What the hell does Auburn do in the absence of Keontae Scott? In the absence of Donovan Kaufman? What is the answer?
I mean, I thought Jalen Simpson did fine. I mean, I don't know. Just one of those things. I don't really have an answer for you right now. I guess you could try Brian Battie. He's electric on the kicks. So, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me.
Am I the only one that's kind of thought about that? That's kind of wondered why Brian Battie's not been thrown into the punt return mix.
I've thought about it in some cases, but I've also been on the same line of being a good kick returner does not always translate to being a good punt returner. It's a different level of catching the ball because the ball isn't coming to you in the same form and fashion as it is on a kick return. But I do think Jalen Simpson does offer a great replacement. I don't think he's going to be your return man, but I think he'd be a good placeholder for get the ball, call a fair catch, don't run.
I was about to say, that feels like the easy solution there, Daniel, right? You just call a fair catch every time. Like,
yeah, Darius did.
I don't know who mentioned it yesterday. We were chatting on the Slack and the War Report Podcast Network Slack, and someone said Auburn might be the only team in the Power 5 that just can't do punt returns, and I don't have evidence to dispute it.
Christian Tutt is pretty good.
But Todd just said Falcons ? Bucks are winning the NFC South again. Todd, I hope you have a Feeling Loopy t-shirt because you're doing some kind of drugs.
Yeah, he's got to be on something.
Yeah, you're on something there, my friend.
Yeah, keep pounding, man. Panthers are going to get it back.
Yeah, that's
okay.
So I actually really don't have a dog in the fight. I'm just from Atlanta. I'm a Steelers fan, but whatever. Yeah,
The Steelers fan that talks more about the Falcons than he does the Steelers.
I can go to
I would
Falcons
too.
games without having to buy airfare. There's a reason.
I'm just saying. I think you're a Falcons fan disguised as a Steelers fan.
Thank you for understanding, Daniel, that the airfare is the barrier there, and they're different conferences. So place.
But Jalen Simpson does
I
offer
get- hey.
sport with your hands.
Grew up with that too.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you.
Right? Like I'll root for the hometown team, I guess, but if they're playing my team at home, I'm gonna go wear a Steelers jersey at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's the way it works for me. All right, turnovers have been one of the talking points of all time, and Auburn's offense is really good at them. By the way, I asked for 2+ turnovers, I think, this weekend from the Auburn defense. They delivered, so you're in my good graces, by the way. Just I know that you guys are really banking on my opinion, but Teresa says Steelers, I'm unforgiven. What the hell's that about? But it's fine.
People don't like the Steelers, man.
Yeah, well, listen, just because we have 6 rings doesn't mean that you have to cry about it. Anyways, that's
Same.
all. Yeah, it's hard to live this way. Daniel, it really is. Colin's got a bunch of rings too. I mean, like he doesn't understand poverty franchises either.
Not as many.
Yeah, but he's got a handful. Anyways,
Who cares?
let's talk turnovers for this offense and how important and how I guess this group can really kind of control what the amount of possessions. That was hard for me to say for a second. The amount of possessions their opponents are going to have game to game, because you can't be giving away, like we mentioned earlier in the show, you can't give away free possessions to opponents in the Southeastern Conference. You just can't. And Dylan, I don't even really know where it starts, other than there was a couple bad picks. The good news is the fumbles have not been bad, except for Cal. That was pretty bad.
I mean, the handoff straight to Jackson Sermon, that wasn't good. And I'm gonna go ahead and touch on Todd Jordan's thing. Freddie Wigand, I was not alive for him. No one on the show was. As old as Tarr looks, he was not alive for it. That was 1988, whenever he last played. So none of us really saw Freddie Wigand.
That means.
But these turnovers are bad. The 2 turnovers against the triple coverage was bad. The interceptions against Cal, not good. The fumbles against Cal, Jarquez Hunter should start wearing gloves if that's going to happen.
I don't know. Can I ask you, why is he not wearing gloves in the first place?
I don't know.
Just wear gloves.
He probably is upset that he can't wear boots on the football field either. So I mean, but overall, I mean, and some of these turnovers are coming from the punt return game. I feel like we've seen 2 already this season.
Oh my
2
god!
points.
Yeah,
and neither one of them were Keontae Scott. I think one of them. Who was the other one? It was Jay Fair was the one that lost it last game, but there was another one that I'm missing out on. Was it Javarius?
Javarius did it earlier in the game.
Yep.
And it goes back to my other point. I think it's time that we just establish Keontae Scott starting punt returner, which we already know. Jalen Simpson should go in, not to return the punt, but to just catch it. Because Jalen Simpson is a wide receiver that plays defense. And he will catch that ball, and he will not drop it.
I don't disagree with that, by the way.
Yeah, I think it works out perfectly. You play it, punt safe, punt return safe. You just get it and don't run it. I trust Jalen Simpson out in open space, but I also don't want him getting hurt in that situation, because I think Jay Simp is awesome and could be playing himself into a first round for the next NFL draft. But overall, these turnovers got to stop. And we're averaging 2 turnovers a game against an FCS team, a UMass team who's not very good, and a Cal team who is middle of the pack of the Pac-12, but also bottom of the middle of the pack. These are not things that can happen against the next 3 opponents. I would even go further beyond and say this cannot happen against the next 9 opponents. You just got to lock it down.
Yeah.
Don't force stupid passes. I get you want to show off that arm, that you want to show to everybody that Payton Thorne is the guy, and he did. But I need the check downs, throw the ball out of bounds, hold onto the football, catch the punt, do these things, and you will not turn over the ball.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. Gentlemen, I don't think I have a ton to add on that, other than I'm going to ratify your next 9 opponent statement and say your next 7 opponents, because you've been able to get away with it against these, like Colin mentioned earlier, and you mentioned, Dylan, inferior opponents, and you still play New Mexico State, and holy shit, Mississippi State looks horrible.
Vanderbilt does not look as good as I thought they were going to be.
Yeah,
They look
bad.
I thought Vanderbilt could have been competitive if they actually, but I just don't think they play defense anymore. Like UNLV made them look like high school.
Daniel, did you catch that sentence from Dylan? Vanderbilt could have been more competitive. They just would have, end of sentence, changed thought. Like maybe just not played football. I don't know. Like,
yeah, if they like studied for the tests instead, I felt they would have like done a little bit better a lot yesterday. But I mean, Vanderbilt still could be a team that could like cause some issues. Mississippi State also does not look very good. New Mexico State, not very good. So you got a couple of tune-out games left on your season. Knock on wood, so I don't end up on Will Arnett's wall that he likes to throw F-bombs up on live TV. But looking, and I think we play Ole Miss next after LSU, right? It goes A&M, Georgia, bye week, LSU, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss almost slipped around against my Yellow Jackets, by the way. Just putting that out.
I told you. They are the most fraudulent team.
Nope.
In Colorado.
Nope.
Right behind Colorado.
I need you to give this to me, Dylan. I need you to tell me that Ole Miss is still really good, and that was signs of growth from Georgia Tech, and we're going to move forward because I need that in my mental capacity.
I can't lie to you. I can't. I just don't think this Ole Miss team is as good as Ole Miss fans think it is.
All right, let's also just briefly sidebar. I'm sorry, guys. I have to throw this out there. Haynes King's playing good football, but let's move forward.
He is.
That's
shocked.
crazy. That's absolutely.
We're very. If you told me I'd be saying that in 2023 after what I saw the last couple of years of Haynes King, I would be like, am I on drugs?
Bro's playing just like good football right now. Anyways,
might be the best quarterback Georgia Tech's ever had.
It's time.
I said that strictly to see that face. That's exactly what I wanted to see after saying that.
I just know you didn't say that. Anyways, Taquan Marshall's going to find you. Anyways. All right. Game grades, folks. Time for the College Loop game grades. We're going to go offensive grade, defensive grade, overall. We'll give them all three at one time as we go around, right? So we're not going to just go through in the willy-nilly bowl, whatever. That way, one, it's easier for graphics, and two, all that beyond. That's really the main reason. Daniel Locke, let's open it up with you, the Locksmith. What are the Locksmith's grades for Week 3 against Samford in a emphatic victory? There we go. That's the word I was going to go for. Emphatic victory for the Tigers. Where are you grading offense, defense, and overall?
Defense B+. Offense, we'll go with a B. And on overall, I guess that rounds out to a B.
A+.
I like that. Yeah, you should have been like C-, A+ on the overall though, and just let people figure out the math. You do your own math. I've had some profs like that, by the way. Colin Beyersdorf, your game grades.
Yeah, defense, I'll give a solid B. I think they played well. Offense, I think we saw a step in the right direction, but as we've talked about, running kind of left stuff to be desired this game. I'm say C+, and then so overall, I'll give a B- for our Auburn Tigers.
I like that. I'm going to be a little generous this week. I'm going to go B's across the board. I'm going to make it nice and simple. B offense, B defense, B overall. I will say though, this run defense has impressed me week to week, like improvement week to week. Granted, not equal level opponents, hard to judge week to week, but we'll see on Saturday, this upcoming Saturday rather, what that looks like. I was overall pretty impressed. I think Auburn's in better. I can confidently tell you Auburn's in better shape now than they were going into UMass. Like I feel good about that. So. B's across the board for Tarr. Dylan.
I'm going to give the defense a B-. The chunk plays, not getting pressure to the quarterback. That weighs into effect here. DBs look great. Jalen Simpson, awesome as always. I predict him to lead the Auburn in defense touchdowns and interceptions. He is still doing that, by the way. Just put that out there. And the chunk plays and quarterback pressures are what's getting me. Offense, I have a B+. As Colin said, it left a lot to be desired, but still showed a lot of signs of improvement. I need to see the run game. I need to see it. And I need to see that I can get 4 total quarters of good Payton Thorne. And I will say, first quarter-wise, they only had 1 drive in the first quarter. Throw it out there. But the last half of that second quarter is when I finally saw Payton Thorne step up and show me that he is the starting quarterback. And then overall, with a B plus and a B minus, I think that just averaged out to a B.
There we go. I like that. Also, important to mention, just backtracking just a second, Samford chewed the hell out of the clock, by the way, which is fine. That's fine. I actually, as a spectator, have no complaints on that.
The game was still 3 hours because TV timeouts.
Yeah, I can't hear you. My favorite text I've received all football season was I was chatting back and forth with Will Root, friend of the program, and he goes, "I'm sorry, I can't hear you over my 3-minute commercial break," and that made me laugh way harder than it should have. You know what I mean?
I've never seen it. Like they kept bringing up how Samford. I rewatched the game, and Aaron Murray, for whatever he's worth as a commentator, kept bringing up how Samford runs an air raid attack, and I've never seen an air raid attack just chew up so much clock.
Yeah, it was wild.
By running the ball.
It was like if Paul Johnson created the air raid attack. You know what I mean? It was wild.
What is an air raid? Does not. I thought air raid was more throwing the ball, like, I don't know, down the field, not across the field, and just running the ball.
Let's also not forget it was modified for Auburn. You know, things really them just trying things against stronger defenses, whatever. But still, thought that was really funny. I was like, this is like the fact. If you don't have 3-minute TV timeouts, I mean, even if they're just 2-minute TV timeouts, that game loses 30 minutes.
It's almost like the problem with the games going on forever. It's not the game itself. That's crazy. That's wild.
New clock rules suck, by the way. I'm just putting it out there. They suck.
Like at first, I didn't really notice it. You don't notice it when you're watching on TV, but you notice it when you're at the game.
Yeah, they suck.
And then it's like, okay, well, the first quarter's ended. Okay, well, we're still gonna. It's like in soccer when you do extra times after the game of what you missed. It's like that. You're just like, okay, well, I just missed out on like 5 extra minutes of the game of the first quarter. Whoa, here, let's watch this guy with a 5-minute timer on the field and see when we're going to get back to the second quarter.
Yeah, and it's just killing TOPs. Like time of possession is crazy right now.
It's
murdering it. But that being said, let's get into our fan questions. Can I open this up by going off the rails and just getting people excited?
Sure.
Because this is going to come up in the comment section. I know our fan base, or not fan base, that's a wild way to put it, our listenership. I know our listeners. I know our Loop enthusiasts, and I know this is coming up, and I love it. I think it's very funny. This has nothing directly to do with Auburn, but let's go ahead and address the literal elephant in the room and talk about the fact that people are getting giddy about coming down the stretch because Alabama looked really, really bad on Saturday.
I mean, I'll go deeper. Georgia didn't look good either.
Yeah. At the end of the game, they remember they were Georgia. Like,
you have been so trauma dumped by Georgia. You got to admit they did not look good.
I can't. I don't have it in me.
You need therapy.
I probably, yeah.
You need to sit down and tell the nice man what Georgia did to you.
show me on the doll what Georgia did to you. Like that might not be far off. Like that was bad, and it would just be like me pointing at the head and like my mental like help.
Yeah, exactly. You watch Georgia Tech.
Like, actually, can you draw eyes on it so I can show you where I cried? Like, yeah, it would be bad. Yeah. Alabama looked really bad on Saturday, and people are getting really giddy. I wanted to take a minute here, and if you're hanging out in the chat, please feel free to overreact along with, I'm sure, Dylan, and remind people that this is still only week 3, and Alabama still found a way to win. That being said,
against the team that won 1 game last year,
fellas, there are more than one position groups that I think Auburn head-to-head is better than the University of Alabama this year.
I'll start off with quarterback.
I was about to say, and I'd probably start with quarterback.
And wide receivers.
And that Alabama offensive line.
And the O-line.
Is really, really bad. Now, their defense is better than maybe anticipated.
Yeah. But
that offensive line is really bad, which serves well for this front 7 for Auburn, which might also be kind of bad. Like there are some similarities. All this to say, I just want to throw this out and get people riled up before we go through fan comments. Iron Bowl might get weird. Like, we've known that, but like it might get really weird.
Hey, two out of the 4 of us picked Auburn to win the Iron Bowl, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Just saying, this could be the highest or lowest scoring Iron Bowl this year, and I don't think there's anywhere in between.
It'd be hard to get up to the 99 points that was already scored, I think, in 2015.
I just don't know that it would be that hard. I just don't know. Like, it could be the highest or the lowest scoring Iron Bowl, or the hardest one to watch, which that might be on my bingo card.
That seems more reasonable. I don't think the Tyler Buckner, Jalen Milroe, and Ty Simpson experiment is going to put up more than 30 points a game.
Yeah.
because that offense looks bad. You have the running backs are lacking names, and I know that what's his name, Jace McClellan. He has flashes of being good, but this is not the Alabama teams of Derrick Henry and whatever Mark Ingram was. I still think Mark Ingram shouldn't have won the Heisman. That should have been Toby Gerhart,
Right.
and Trent Richardson and Eddie Lacy. This is not that running back room. You don't have even a Josh Jacobs back there, a guy who was a bench warmer until he actually got on the field.
Right.
There's not a name that would strike the fear in defenses like there used to be. There's not a name in this wide receiver room. If Jermaine Burton's your number one wide receiver, you're doing something wrong.
Right.
He's not good. He's just not good. His highlight, I'm not going to say it. Never mind. He is not proven to be a Bama wide receiver that we should be feared about. DJ James is going to lock him up. DJ James is going to shut him up. And his offensive line, I'm giving Nick Saban all the locker room material he needs. I don't care. I will say it to his face. I'll look down at him and say it. The O-line's bad. J.C. Latham might go down as one of the biggest busts in Bama recruiting history.
That's plausible.
Because he looks bad. There's no tight ends that are – there's no OJ – not OJ Simpson. OJ.
Whoa.
OJ Howard? There's no OJ Howard. This offense – it goes back to Nick Saban just not hiring the right coordinators. Tommy Rees should not have been on Saban's hire list. Kevin Steele should not have been on his hire list. He did not improve from going from Pete Golding. He didn't. And I mean, Lane Kiffin's getting the butt end of that right now too, because Pete Golding, not a good defensive coordinator. Kevin Steele, also not a good defensive coordinator. We saw what he did in Miami last year when Middle Tennessee State went in there and threw for 500 yards. Tommy Rees, not a proven OC. Nick Saban, and I've heard, I love the Bama fans on Twitter saying, oh, Nick Saban's gotten soft. And it's like, make Nick Saban mean again. Nick Saban is, I think he's starting to understand that he's on the latter part of his tenure at Alabama. That mansion in Florida is looking very nice to him right now. He gets to live a happy life for the rest of his life with him and Terry.
Yeah, I got to stop you now.
Yeah, I fully disagree with most of
now
what you're saying.
Now we're talking crazy.
Saban is not making the end of his contract. He's not making 2028.
That's okay. All right.
He's gonna coach till he's done coaching.
Dylan and I are going to mute ourselves as I ask you guys. Well, that's not true. I got to stay on the mic so I can ask you guys, Daniel and Colin, questions here. We're getting strictly fan questions now. Is anyone upset / disappointed that Auburn did not play Holden Geriner this game? This is from Todd Jordan. Todd, thank you for the comment. Open to Daniel and or Colin, not open to myself or Dylan.
I mean, no. I mean, sometimes the third string quarterback doesn't get in. Sorry. I mean, it's not really a big deal.
Yeah, I'm not super upset by it either. Maybe when we're up late in the fourth quarter, he gets a drive. But I don't know if I've seen him earn that playing time yet, especially when Thorne and Ashford are playing the way they are right now.
I think they summed it up. That was great. Perfect. Teresa had a comment here. I think that was actually really good to expand on. If Thorne doesn't learn to slide, Robbie's probably going to get some serious time because Thorne is going to get hurt.
I mean, when you just it's what's the meme going on with Josh Allen where he just doesn't slide anymore. He decides to jump over whoever's in front of him. That's what Payton Thorne's about to start doing. And every time he runs the ball, it's immediately like, okay, he's going to take a hit here, and that's not a good thing to do. Don't do that.
Yeah.
He's giving me like Joe Flacco vibes.
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want. I never want. I don't care. These won Super Bowl. I don't care. I never want my quarterbacks to ever be compared to Joe Flacco ever again.
Okay, I'm gonna read this. Read this. The grammar in this already threw me off. Sorry, no offense, Habersham Jim. You do know. I think that's or I don't know. You do know the coaching staff could be playing possum. Colin, Daniel, that one's open to y'all's interpretation. I think this is in relation to game planning and schematics and
That's all you, Colin.
I think we're starting to see less and less of that. Obviously, there's still stuff that we've not shown heading into SEC play, but I think what we saw this week against Samford is a lot of what we're going to see going throughout the season.
Yeah, That sums it up. Daniel, this one. This is from Teresa. She mentioned that Vandy, Mississippi State, and New Mexico State are 3 games to a bowl. Anything else will be awesome. Do you expect? I'm going to expand on this one for 6-6 feels like a lock now, right? Like we're not overly concerned at that point, right?
Well, I'll take you back to my freshman year when Auburn was 6-2, and it felt like a New Year's Six bowl was a lock. So no, not a lock. There are no locks except me. I'm the only lock.
New Year's Six is different than the Birmingham Bowl.
They should, right? Should beat Vandy. Sure. Hold on. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say lock. I'm gonna say there's 2 locks now. There's a lock for Auburn in a bowl, and there's a Daniel lock. I think you're beating New Mexico State. I think you're gonna go into Vandy's house and beat Vandy. For
Vandy's house.
For the 8th Auburn home game of the season. And I think Mississippi State's gonna finish last in the West. So
is there a way to finish 8th in the West before Texas and Oklahoma get here? Like
there won't be a West.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You're not wrong. But like, is there a way when there's only 7 teams to still finish 8th? Because I think Mississippi State is really on that train.
Yeah, they're not looking great.
They look bad.
It's just the way it is.
I mean, to the second quarter, Mississippi State in this new year offense where they're able to run the ball and also throw the air raid, they were averaging, I think, 0.6 yards per play. Yeah,
pretty bad.
Very bad.
Pretty bad. I'm throwing up my favorite comment of the day. And this is maybe one of my favorite comments ever. Maximum Effort said Thorne thinking he's Shane Falco, and that is an elite reference to one of the greatest football movies ever. I have the shirt that says pain heals, chick stick scars, glory lasts forever, Falco on the back. Fantastic. Excellent.
I've yet to have seen the replacements. I need to see it.
Oh, you need to. Yeah, that's a film. That's one of the films of all time. Yeah. I won't say it's a great movie, but it's pretty funny. It's pretty good. All things considered, fellas. Colin, to expand on your comment about Auburn lock as a lock for a bowl game, I agree. Like you said, the 8th Auburn home game up in Vanderbilt, I don't particularly think will be close.
Is that counting the Cal game?
No, this is going to be worse than the Cal game. Like for the home team. No,
like counting up the home games. We're counting Cal too, right? Because I saw. Did you see their attendance for kickoff last week or yesterday? They had Cal had 1,000 fans in the stands against yesterday.
Yeah, no, I know. But Cal still had more fans than Auburn in the Auburn Cal game. The aerial camera did not particularly lie. But Auburn traveled fantastically well, as we expected them to. You got
to adjust for the distance traveled.
Oh, certainly. Absolutely. I'm not. Airfare's expensive. I wanted to go to that game. I couldn't, but I wanted to go to that game, and the airfare was a hindering factor for sure. I'm not dissing anybody, but I'm with you. I'm with you, Mr. Beyersdorf. And Daniel, I get it. Daniel has mentioned the fact that Auburn fans should have trust issues because they've seen a 6-2 team eventually go to a Birmingham Bowl and lose to Houston. And Daniel Holgerson's horrible mullet, bad mullet, very bad mullet. There are good mullets. That's not one of them.
Where does Quinn Ewers last year rank on that?
Bad. That was bad mullet. That was
really bad. David's problem. He's also balding. That's his issue. He just needs to either just accept it or don't.
Has anyone mentioned the fact that Payton Thorne has a mullet?
Yeah, I think it's better left unspoken.
No, it's a good mullet. No,
it's a good mullet.
Payton Thorne has a good mullet.
He's got the perm mullet going on.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. I'm qualified to judge on people's mullets because I at one point had one. So,
and he got forced to shave it.
Yeah, it was bad. I didn't shave it. I just cut it.
Cut it. You shave the mullet.
It was a sad day in my life. But anyways, I digress. This has been the College Loop Reaction Show live stream. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. If you haven't picked up a Feeling Loopy t-shirt, please make sure to do so. Hello. Hi, I'm tired. Hashtag Feeling Loopy. Use it on Twitter when you get your shirt. Send us a selfie. We'll put it up on the show, put it up on the live stream, whatever makes you happy. We appreciate you guys' support. Colin, tell everybody where they can find you. Love you and support you.
Yeah, follow my Twitter at Beyersdorf Colin. That's Beyersdorf Colin.
Mr. Locke.
You can follow me on Twitter or X at Daniel J. Locke. That's DANIEL, the letter J, LOCKE. written work over at 1819 News, the Auburn Daily, or Braves Today if you want to check that out. And between now and the next time, go Patriots.
That's right. There you go. I'm Harrison Tarr, by Harrison Tarr on the Bird app, on Instagram, whatever, Threads, X, whatever you want to use. You can come hang out with me there. Send me your hot takes there. I just turned my notifications back on for Twitter, so I'll be able to hear you. That was a long detox process, and it was certainly necessitated. I say all that, like I mentioned before. Thank you guys so much for the outpouring support. Let's see if we can get to 600 by the Texas A&M game. We're at 584 on YouTube. I just checked it out for subscribers. The number one way you can support us. Colin, do you know the number one way people can support us?
I think it's if they feel a little loopy.
Well,
And
actually,
they go to the
you don't even have to buy the shirt. I was just going to say hit the damn subscribe button.
well, yeah, that helps too.
But that's that number two way you can support us is go ahead, Colin.
Buy the damn shirt. Feel loopy.
He was going to have this whole lead in. I really screwed the pooch for Colin. I'm really sorry, dude. I'm really sorry. Yeah, like Colin said, make sure you grab your Feeling Lippy shirt. I'm sorry, Colin. I really, from the bottom of my heart, man. I appreciate you and I love you, dog. Dylan, tell everybody where they can find you, love you, and support you, and then get us out of here, my man. Love to everybody. Everybody have a safe week. We will talk to you guys again on Tuesday.
Yeah, of course, I'm Dylan Larck at Your Boy the Tank on Twitter/X. It redirects. It's just right there at Your Boy the Tank, at YABOY the Tank. And of course, you got me on Instagram at Dylan Larck, DYLANLARCK. And of course, you have us right here in the College Loop. You can like, comment, and subscribe. Leave your thoughts. Leave your overall grades on yesterday's win over Samford, or whatever you're listening to this. I'm sure 2 days ago, 3 days ago, 4 days ago, 5 days ago. If you're watching this the day after Texas A&M, let us know how they played against Samford. Still, why not? Just show out. And of course, you have us on again Twitter/X, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. All at the College Loop. And all of that being said, thank you, Teresa, for hitting that like button. This has been the College Loop post-game reaction show. And where's the ending? There it is.
It's somewhere.